was a child, I used to love doing a rather strange thing. I would stand on my bed in the very corner of the room, getting up as high as I could, and look down over all my toys and books. I'm tempted to say you should try it sometime, but maybe do a risk assessment first. It's a bit like if you're in an aeroplane looking down on the countryside, or if you went up a mountain and took in the view. Looking at life from a different viewpoint enables us to see things in a different way. I think we all have times when we wish we could look on things from another angle, to have a different perspective. Those times when we wish we could see the wood and not just the trees. 30 years ago, I experienced a period of significant illness, which lasted for some 3 years. It caused several months off work, delayed our wedding, and has occasionally revisited me in the intervening time. Now, at that time, when I was a much younger person, some verses came into my life, and they've remained present at various other points when I needed to have a different perspective, combined also with the promise of strength in such times and the hope of renewal. Isaiah 40, verses 28 to 31. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young people stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. That reading from Isaiah ends with this wonderful description of how our strength is renewed. We will rise on eagle's wings. Imagine an eagle rising above the earth, and how if we were on its wings we could look down on the world and also up into the heavens. We would have a totally different perspective. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the Creator. But unlike the people he created, he will not grow tired or weary. God doesn't grow tired with us, and there is nothing that he cannot understand about our lives. He gives strength to the weary, yes, even young people who are expected to always be strong. They too will be given their strength by God. And if that wasn't enough, in the last verse we have the punchline. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. No matter what befalls us in life, no matter what makes us physically, mentally, or spiritually weary, if we place our hope and trust in God, he will strengthen us. Do you not know? Have you not heard? All right, so that's all good stuff, and you'd expect to hear things like that in a Lent talk. But what about the times of wilderness, the times of wanting, wandering and waiting? So often we struggle to see this bigger picture when we're so caught up with the detail, the distraction and the dilemmas. How does this majestic and strong God fit into our practical day-to-day hopes, trials and tribulations? God's ways are many. God understands every single aspect of our lives, every up, every down, every hope, every despair, every frustration, every encouragement. There is nothing beyond God's understanding. Now, to understand how God understands is, in part, that of us understanding God's perspective, of seeing the view from standing in the far corner of the room and looking down over that which is around us, taking a look at the bigger picture, the view from eagle's wings, to look at our lives from God's point of view. We will never fully know the mind of God, but God does grant us those times when we can see life from his perspective, times when we have insight. This may be through the words of someone who soothes our worries, or that still small voice inside our head, or when we can see how, by reflecting on the present as well as the past, from God's perspective, things fit together. Yes, there will be times in our lives when we simply will not understand why particular things happen or do not happen, and hard as painful as they are, those things to be left entrusted to God. God's love and purposes for us are such that he can enable us to take a metaphorical look down on our lives, that view on eagle's wings, using the lessons from the past and reflections on the present to influence the practicalities of day-to-day living. And we need to give God time and a listening ear in order to understand that perspective, in order to see things from God's point of view. Times to listen, not always to talk. Times to look, not always to close our eyes to it all. God understands the day-to-day practicalities of our lives more than we will ever be able to fathom. Seeking to see our lives from God's point of view gives us a whole new perspective. And by placing our lives in the trust of the one who renews our strength, we will rise on eagle's wings. Perhaps that is what God wants for you.